Hello, good morning. Headache morning today. Another Land Rover issue. I mean, honestly, it's like someone's just got this doll and they stick Land Rover sized pins in me every day just for fun. They're sort of watching and going, right, what can we do to her today? I know. So the latest one is a safety recall. Please like, subscribe and share. I had a lovely chat with a woman in Morrison's in the frozen section over the size of the Morrison Savers peeled prawns, if you can call them that. And we had a lovely chat, which led us on to Black Forest Gatto, which led us on to the 80s, all because she stopped me and said, somebody sent me one of your videos the other day. I said, how lovely. And we had such a nice little conversation. So yes, please do like, subscribe and share, because if nothing else, I'm getting loads of new friends. Toe ball, here we go. Toe ball retaining bracket, safety recall number 923. So I get this letter at the end of June, or they posted it at the end of June. I get it at the beginning of July. And I looked at it, and honestly speaking, I didn't pay much attention to it because I thought it was for the one that's in Marshall's. I thought it was for the 70-plate Discovery Sport that's been in Marshall's Land Rover for 18 months. So I just ignored it. I thought, well, God, if there's a safety recall while it's in there, they might do it, or they haven't done anything else with it. So don't say much about it. And then I'm talking to Jono and I say to him, I've got some silly safety recall thing. Do you think they'll do it while it's in there? And he said, no, that won't be for that one, AB. That will be for this one. I went, what? The 16 plate that we've got. And he went, yeah, I had something similar with his old, and he had, I think, a 57 plate. I could have that wrong, but he had an old one. And he said, I had that. And they had to do it, and they had to change the tow bar, and they put this big bar across the back, reinforcement bar, and it knackers your parking sensors. I was like, brilliant. Good. Look forward to that then. I said, hang on a minute. So I think he had his, well, he's definitely still had it in 2015. So he had his 10 years ago, and that's when he had the safety recall. So we are now here in 2025 getting a safety recall for a 16-plate Discovery 4. I'm like, why is it taking them 9 years? And if this is the same recall, you had this in 2015 for a car that I think it was an old plate. I can't remember what it was. So we've not moved on from this. This is obviously clearly a known issue, but it's just taking time to get to certain years. So we're letting people drive it, even though we know that it could be an issue, but we're just taking our time to get to them. Blows my brains. So I have a conversation with a friend who's got exactly the same car as me, but different colour. And she's had hers for a long time. So I say to her, oh God, you never guess what, we're going to have to rearrange next week because I think I've got to send the disco in to go and get the tow bar refitted because it's got a safety recall. And she's like, oh my God, what a pain. I'm like, yeah, I know. And I don't want to send it to the authorised dealer, which is what they tell you to do in the letter, because look what happened last time. I really don't want any of my Land Rovers to go to Land Rover ever again, but what can you do? So I say this to her and she just says, yes, okay, disaster. She sends me a text message 3-4 days later, we've got that letter. So she also, with her 16-plate Land Rover Discovery 4 that she's had for a long time, gets the letter. Because I'd been thinking, well, maybe it's because I only bought mine last year, so they might have sent it to the people that had it before, and they didn't do anything about it, so they're sending it to me. No, it's 16-plate Discoveries. So if you've got a 16-plate Discovery, do you have the safety recall letter N923 tow ball retaining bracket kit? Why is it taking us 9 years to get to our cars? And why are we having exactly the same issue that my other half had on his car 10 years ago? We know there's a problem. Why aren't we recalling all of them right this very minute and getting them all fixed? And I'm now in a quandary because I, as I've said, don't want my cars to go to Land Rover. It's the very last place I want them to go. But I have no choice. So I'm not going to send it to Marshall's Peterborough, even though I will say we have found the only decent person to work for Marshall's Peterborough because they have employed somebody new, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to embarrass them, but they rang me last week and were very productive and actually logical. And if they'd been there 18 months ago, none of this would have happened. We would not have been having these conversations. But anyway, I'm not sending it there. But do I send it to Boston Marshalls? And if I do send it to Boston Marshalls, that's like a hour and a bit journey for me. So I'll obviously have to stay there while it's being done because I can't imagine they're going to give me a car to come home in. And even if they do give me a car to come home in, I've got to come home and then I've got to go back and get it. You know, we're talking like a half day at minimum to get this fixed. And I don't even know that I want the fix that they're going to fix it with, but I have no choice because I've been told that this is unsafe, and I tow livestock. So I do not want to be on a road somewhere with 2 horses in a horse box and the tow ball go. And once you know it, you can't unknow it, can you? Once you know it, you can't turn around and go, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. Can't be asked. You go, oh, okay, I have no choice. Arm is up my back. It's got to go in. So then I think, well, if I send it to Boston, do I say to them, plug it in while you're there? It's the very least you could do for me. Tell me what error codes come up for you. Tell me what you think is the issue as to why this keeps going into restricted performance. But then I think, do I really want to do that? Because I've got 4x4, Avenger 4x4, who are like the holy grail of anything Land Rover in Peterborough, who have done absolutely every test under the sun. The smoke test showed nothing. They've come, I mean, literally, they've put cameras in places you didn't even know that would fit. And the only thing that we can come up with at the minute is it's to do with the turbos. So it needs to go back to Northumberland where the turbos were done to see if that is the issue. Now, the turbos are under warranty. So if it is an issue, then hopefully that's quite an easy fix. But nonetheless, that will have ensued sort of since January an absolute sake of trying to get the car fixed and working out what's wrong with it. So more inconvenience. So I've got a car that's off the road more than it's on the road, and now I've got to get it sorted with the safety recall, which I can't ignore because that's not how I'm made up. It's not my DNA. So I know I've got to do it. So I know I've got to go to an authorised retailer, and I know it's going to be an absolute pain in the arse. They're not hardly going to turn around and go, oh, I tell you what, we'll come and pick it up from your drive and we'll drop it back off. Of course they're not. So that's more inconvenience of my time because of Land Rover. I mean, if ever there was an advert to not buy a Land Rover, I am it. And I still have no word from the Ombudsman. So I rang them last week and they said, well, it should be within the next 4 weeks, which is what they told me 8 weeks ago. But once it's gone to the adjudicator, then it should be turned around pretty quickly. But we, you know, how long's a piece of string? So here I am still on the, what day is it today? It is the 16th of July. I am sat here with 2 Land Rovers, more fool me. One which is where it was 18 months ago, one which has now got to go and have more stuff done to it, and no money in the bank because of said Land Rover's hemorrhaging me, and yet again more inconvenience for my day-to-day going about life because the very cars that I bought specifically for a very specific purpose, which was towing, cannot tow. One because it's in Marshall's Peterborough, and the other one because the actual tow bit is knackered and has a safety recall on it. You could make it up, but you wouldn't make it up. This is so far-fetched. I mean, I almost feel like I need to start auditioning people who are going to play me in the film. You know, Brenda Blethyn, anyone?